Hello and welcome to Live Coding Happy Hour for February 8th, 2019. I'm Dave Slusher, joined with my colleague Andrew Barnes. Welcome.
Hello. Welcome, everyone.
All right. And we're going to return to, I think, what is the ultimate chapter in the saga of Andrew's update set tracker.
Goodness, I hope so.
Is that a fair statement?
We're going to put it in people's hands after today. So we might work on it again in the future, but it's going to be for, enhancements to features at that point.
Alrighty. Just a quick note. Knowledge is coming up. What are the dates, Andrew?
The dates are
you pulled them.
May. You threw me off. We didn't even do our intros. It starts in the evening of May 6th, but the conference for real starts May 7th and is May 7th, 8th, and 9th in Las Vegas. We'll have close to 20,000 people there, about 5,000 CreatorCon attendees, Go developers. I got my shirt on.
Fantastic. All right. So go ahead. If you want to go ahead and do your longer introduction.
All right. I'm Andrew Barnes. I'm a ServiceNow developer advocate. I have been working on the platform for a little over 4 years now. I've been at a couple of customers, a partner, and now at ServiceNow for about 4 months, 5 months. I don't know, a little bit. We'll figure it out eventually. Dave's over there at 5 years. My focuses are in my expertise is around managing development teams, enterprise applications, specifically in the ServiceNow space. I've done a lot of work around update set management and deployment, which is why I've built this app like 3 times now. And I just love being here and hanging out with you guys on a Friday, drinking a beer.
Alrighty, and I'm Dave Slusher. As Andrew said, we are on the same team. Developer advocate, 5.5 years ServiceNow. And does anybody in the chat, Casey is loving the green screen backgrounds. Do you know where this is? Is it relevant to ServiceNow? To early 2019. So yes, developer advocate since 2000 and I guess it was 15 when I started. Yeah,
15.
It's almost 3.5 years in this job, which is double the average industry burnout period. So I'm on borrowed time. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit more about you. Oh, whoa! I missed a very key component. What are you drinking, Andrew?
you gotta keep it together for a little bit longer. I am drinking a Lion Lager from Lion Brewery. And I don't really know what kind of beer it is yet.
And I have got, so I had to actually look it up because I bought a growler the other day. I'm drinking a Wild Jalapeno from Carolina Bauernhaus. This is so hipstery, I don't even know how to pronounce the place. Bauernhaus.
Nice.
It's from like upstate South Carolina. So it's pretty local. Anderson, South Carolina, which it's not that far from Augusta. I have been there in my life. So
I have been there as well.
It is a localish place.
That's probably a beer I would drink.
Oh, it is exactly your style. It's super sour, it's super hot, and you can taste the jalapeno, and it is like mouth-puckering sour.
Sour and jalapeno? Oh, yes, please.
Exactly. All right. I'm ill, and I'm going to actually probably mute now and then because I'm coughing. So I'm hoping the jalapeno will attack my illness. All right. So take it away, Andrew. And let me go to, you go into the screen share or you want to introduce first?
I'll do the screen share while I'm doing the intro. Let's go ahead and get this share going, though. Here we go. Let us know if I need to zoom in or anything. We checked it a little earlier, but you never know with these things once it's out on YouTube. So the update set build tracker has gone through a few iterations. I was using a version that a former coworker and I built together at my last company. They're still using it. I completely rebuilt it from the ground up twice in the last year. The first time was because I just needed to learn some things a little differently, and the second time was for our internal hackathon at ServiceNow, and I got a team together, and we're trying to use Flow Designer to tie everything together and do some e-bonding between instances. The basic premise is you should be able to see the status of your update sets next to the task that you're working with. So when you're on a story, let's go to one of those. Like here's the build tracker table, and the layout is horrible. Forgive me for that. But if I go to this story,
and I think you need to zoom in a little bit, Andrew, just for readability.
Sure. If I'm on a story and I want to work on this story, I want to be able to know what the update sets that are related to this story and or create them and keep track of their status. So that's what this build tracker does, is it keeps track of all of the update sets related to this story. I can create update sets, and ultimately it's going to be able to move them as well. That functionality is not there yet. We might get to a little bit of that today. The other reason I have another related list here is in case you have Scrum tasks and you like to use Scrum tasks, it will also show you all of the update sets and their status for not just your update sets, but any of your children as well, if you have children. So that's the basic premise. The functionality is working in an e-bonding. So this table, this build tracker table that I've built and customized has got two Flow Designer flows that create them and then keep them in sync in between instances. So on our Todoist tracking here of what we're going to do, the first thing that we're going to do today is we're going to make our flows not loop.
All right, that sounds like an important aspect here.
So if I can get that thing to get out of my way there. No, that's not what I wanted. All right, over here in Flow Designer, here we are. I have a flow to create a remote build tracker. That one isn't, I'm not super worried about.
Yeah, you just stopped the share, actually. I think you need to reshare.
Oh, I must have. That's why it popped up on my screen then. Sorry about that. Come on, Zoom. Where are you? Where's the Zoom window? There it is. Share. All right. Should be back now. All right. So update remote build tracker. So I built a custom action to do this e-bonding. We did that on the show a while back. And right here in Flow Designer in Madrid, we've got some new features that I'm particularly excited about that help in this dual master integration setup. And so what that means is if I want to be able to update a record and keep it in sync from both sides of an integration, so either side makes a change, I want to push that change to the other. You can very easily get into loops in those scenarios, right? So we want to avoid that. So we've got two different options that I know of that have now exposed to us in Madrid Flow Designer to help address that issue. So the first is you can just slate it to only run this for interactive session versus non-interactive session. So you can say, hey, things that come in from an API, you don't need to go and then update them back out again, because that seems reasonable to me. So
here's the thing I don't know about this is if you're doing a thing and let's say you updated a record, you know, and like you update a story and then the story runs a business rule and the business rule does that. Is that an interactive trigger or is that a non-interactive?
It depends on how I got updated. So it could trigger a non-interactive one. So that's why the next thing that we're going to talk about is really important when you get to this. So I'm probably going to say only run for non-interactive sessions, as well as do the next step, which is I either want to say only run when run by this user, or don't run when triggered by the following user. So if I've got a integration account, and I don't want that particular account to invoke this flow, which is the case here, right? So another instance is, if another instance creates this build tracker record on the instance I'm on, I don't want to then go reach out to another one, which is what this flow does. So I want to say only run for non-interactive, and do not run if, and I believe I did pre-make a little build tracker integration user. So if I've got a user that I know I'm going to use, this is a way to say, hey, this should not loop ever now, because anytime this action reaches out to another instance and goes and creates the record in another instance, it will be a non-interactive session, and it will be from my integration user. So, so this should stop that looping. So when you're building these sort of e-bonding examples, these were very important enhancements to Flow Designer that really make integrations very possible to have good logic now. The other nice thing is when you're running these, where is it? I just wanted to point it out that I want to, is it under properties? Yeah, here it is. So the other nice thing that was added in Madrid that I wanted to take note of while we were here is the flows used to execute as system before, I believe. And now you can choose to select it to the user who initiates the session, which is very important to get that user data pretty easily and follow their permissions when you're working with Flow Designer now here in Madrid.
Yeah, and it's worth noting that even though we're not going to do a full comprehensive catalog of the differences, we talked about some last week, we're talking about some this week, like particularly for Flow Designer, Madrid has a lot of stuff.
Oh, yes, it does.
So Madrid is the point where, as we did last week, we took a workflow and we turned it off. So it's kind of at the point where we're going to say, when in doubt, assume your workflow can be replicated in Flow Designer at this point. If you've got an integration hub on, there's practically, there in very rare situations would you not have parity. So it's worth exploring if you've been waiting off on that.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and give this a real quick test to make sure things are working. So we're going to target a record. We're going to say run Flow Designer. Oh, I've got an error. That's sad for me. Why do I have an error? I don't like errors. It was working earlier. What did I do?
Empty Json string.
Where? This is the parse response. I got a 200. It's actually looking fine. Empty JSON string. I got a response body though. Right here. How can it be empty? I can figure that out in a minute. It's not super important for what we're doing today that works. I mean, it is important that it works, but not right now.
Okay.
The other thing that I wanted to look at while we were here in Flow was to limit the looping and then to note One other interesting thing that I came across while I was thinking about working on this is my action is currently get my action here. My action in this update remote incident, it was previously using a hard-coded credentials alias. Now I'm taking this in as a parameter in my action here to select which credential. The thing that I was trying to work through earlier was that even though the credentials alias seems to say that you can have multiple connections, it doesn't seem to let you.
That is not a thing I have tried myself.
So here on build trackers credentials, there's even this, support multiple active connections checkbox. And I was like, okay. And I try and, make
actually
another
do
one actually do that. And it says, no, you cannot, sir. So I was trying to decide if I want to, and maybe you can help me with this logic decision. Should I create a new credential alias with a new connection for each of the instances that I want to sync to? Or do I create the connections all here and then just loop through them, whether or not they're active or not? Like toggle them active on, run the thing. I was thinking
I don't know if I have
aliases,
a good
multiple
I don't know if
aliases.
I have a you should do the thing you want, because I don't know if I have any better your instincts are probably better than mine anyway on this. So I would go with what seems right to you.
I want it to be multiple connections, but it's angry at me, so I don't want to make it angrier. So hopefully at some point we can because all of the things are going to be the same, and basically all I'm doing is really essentially I want to just change this to false, this one to true, and rerun my flow again. So let's go ahead and create just another alias to dip here, and we'll insert and stay. Yeah. No spaces allowed. I forgot that. Then we need a new connection. We'll get that. Let's grab. Nope, that's the wrong record. Let's grab this false one.
Casey is suggesting in the chat that your test record was that a record without the connection record in it?
It should have had one. We can go check though. I know I updated one of my flows with it, but I may not have updated that one with it. So it's entirely possible that I did that wrong. So new connection alias. So we're just gonna steal from Peter here and build tracker. And actually, I probably could have just. In fact, I can just change the connection alias this is pointing to. That's a little easier. And now I can make it active. Really? Why do you hate me?
Man, we might want to dig in on this a little bit, because this is definitely violating that principle of least surprise, right? By definition.
Combination for an active directory parties. No, it doesn't.
Credential and domain combination.
All right, let's take a look at the record. Domains global. So it's saying I can't have this same credential
in global
in two different HTTPS connections.
Yeah, I'm not sure that I'm not understanding that either. So
what I also don't understand about this is I looked at this domain field the other day. When you use the searcher, it brings up groups. I don't know if you know, but it doesn't feel like sys_domain should be a group reference field. Oh, let's see. It says it's type domain ID, but then pulls up groups.
I would be lying if I said I understood all this.
Sys user group. Okay, man. I can give it a different domain, but I don't understand what this means here. Like, why?
Yeah, I'm kind of at a loss myself.
I'm at a loss there. I mean, I could just make another credential, but it's the same credential. I just want to use it on two different connections. I just want it on. How about if I don't set a domain? Is it angry? Doesn't seem to be required.
If you can get around it, try that.
It says no. Oh. Well, now I'm extra sad. So what's the way around this? If I can't, do I have to create a credential and a credential alias for all of the connections I want, even though they're the same? That seems frustratingly complex.
Yeah, it does.
Discard those changes. So it's here. Why do you hate me? So even without this active, I can do what's important on. I mean, we'll come back to this in a second, I guess. But I'm going to let that stew in my brain for a second. So we're going to pop back to Flow Designer. And I guess what we'll do is, since I'm a developer and I won't just copy and paste this and stick in the different aliases, I'll go look up the aliases and plop them in there. Let's do that.
Okay.
Let's look up records. We're going to look them up on the alias table. We want, what do we want the name to contain something, or I don't know. What do we have that was unique here? Build tracker.
Well, you're doing that. Ron in the chat says that goes all the way back to Aspen with the domain referencing sys user group.
Oh, okay.
I'm just checking how much of my growler is left. Whew. Yeah. This may be dangerous having this in growler form rather than
having to go get it in a bottle.
Exactly. Yes, exactly.
All right. So we definitely don't want 1,000 of these. Let's narrow it down to 100. So name contains build tracker. Done. Now that I have returned those, I'm going to need to for each loop them. And then I'm going to grab there. So number 2 over here, step 2, my data pills are here. So I want to get the records. Do. And I want to move this down there. Do. Come on. You can go there. I believe in you. There you are. And now we want to, instead of this data pill, we want to grab our for each record. Excellent. So assuming we can get multiple credential aliases. That will now solve our issue of having, say, I want to sync this to 8 ServiceNow instances. This will allow me to do that in scale just by adding a new credential alias record.
And I was doing admin stuff when you set up that lookup. You're looking up, you're filtering on active. Is that right?
No, I didn't filter on anything really, other than contains build tracker. I don't even know that the aliases have active.
But the connection does. So is that going to pull up an inactive connect?
It will only grab so that's one of the, I think that's one of the reasons why it's forcing the single active one, is because
I gotcha.
When the in the action it goes here, it will only grab the one that's active.
Okay. This is where we're seeing problem. This is the same problem we had with the OAuth and the all that stuff. Is my mental model clearly is not up to the reality of what's in here. I think I have to do exactly the same thing for this as well.
So this should allow me to look up however many ServiceNow instances I want to e-bond, and then pass each of those aliases to my custom update remote build tracker action, which will sync records to there. And now they won't loop. Okay. So hopefully that'll work. So that was the important thing there. We want to do the same check here real quick. So on create versus update, only run for non-interactives. Do not run if it's our build user. Seriously. Build. Done. And then we'll do the same procedure here. So it'll be really fast this time. We're going to do a lookup records. We're going to select our alias table. We're going to say the name, and we'll tighten up this name issue here in a bit off stream. Done. We're going to flow logic for each, drop in the results of the previous step, and then drag this guy down. Hey, I did it right this time. Look at that.
Fan?
I am a learning machine. For each record. Done. So now both our create and update sync appear to not loop, and will loop over however many other instances it needs to sync to. Excellent. So we're gonna go do one of my favorite things, which is check the to-do off the list. It is one of my favorite things to do, is say I finished a thing. Did I stop the share again? That thing is right in the way. Come on, you can move out of the way. I guess I'll use keyboard shortcuts. All right, so the next thing on our list was fix related list for top. What that means is over here on our release, we want to, we've got a top field on our build tracker, and we want to show all of the builds under a given release. So the way we're going to do that is we're going to go create a relationship. We could do it in, I'm not sure I've ever created a relationship in Studio. Let's do it. I'm sure you can. Look at that. Data model relationship. So I want to
release or top tracker. What do I want to call it? So I want to show all of the build tracker records for this, for the whole hierarchy. Names of things.
Ultimate parent, something like that. Top parent.
Well, that's what the release is, the top parent, but the list contains all of its kids. So the name of the related list should be related to what the kids are. So all build trackers. Let's go with all build. Hey, thanks. Trackers. We'll leave off all for now. All right. So we're going to do it on the release table, which let's do from release. Nope. Apparently that's not the name.
Here are 2 suggestions: build portfolio, tracker family.
Ooh, tracker family. Thank you. Whoever came up with that one, I'm taking it.
That was Ron Stagg.
All right. Thanks, Ron.
Credit where credit is due.
Ron's going to be one of the first people to use this. So what was it? Tracker family?
Tracker family. So he's got a vested interest in
having names that
make sense, particularly to him.
Hey, when you're getting things, add a little feedback and you get what you want. All right. So the tracker family, I think all we really need to do is current. I actually think we can do a simple reference, but it's been a while since I've done that. So we're going to do it the way I'm sure will work. So top. My mic seems to be in the way of my keyboard today, is parent. So if you're not familiar with relationships, you can, this is how you populate related lists. You can make advanced ones in which you can change even which the tables are, the applies to and queries from table. And you can script this query here, and they can get pretty complex. Some good examples of that are in like the resource plans. I do some interesting like queries to get all of the results for a big hierarchy that's divergent. This one's going to be really simple. All I want is actually have a field on all the build tracker records that says who is the top level task. So sort of like in the project workspace, you've got the top project, and in task you've got top task. Mm-hmm. So in build tracker we've got top build, and that is our top task, and it's just called top. So let's see if it works. Hopefully that was pretty simple. I hope I didn't screw that up too bad. So we're gonna create a related list. We're gonna get an error. Oh, I must have switched domains. And that was build family.
Tracker family.
So any of these that you see that don't they don't have relationships in the relationship table, those are there's a name for those, but they're made when you're when you create the record and you have a reference reference in that. So for example, the build tracker to task is established automatically. Mm-hmm. I didn't have to make that one. All right. So let's see. I've got nothing there, but I don't know if that is I don't know if that's good or bad. Let's see. Build the table. That is the story that has things. So what I have not done actually is gone in so I just added that top feature today, and the functionality to populate it. So I'm guessing that none of these got invoked yet because they predate that. So if I change, we are definitely we're definitely live coding it now because I haven't tested this functionality at all. The top functionality. What's supposed to happen is if I change one of these parents, it recalculates the top. But when they get inserted is when the top is supposed to be created. So we're going to fake it. And we're going to pick that release. Anybody remember what that release number is? December is the name of it. No. Oh, build trackers. I created the wrong reference. Well, that's bad. We need to go to Studio, build tracker, and oh yeah, that's supposed to be task. I was of two minds of it earlier today, and I apparently didn't implement what I ultimately decided. All right. So now if we refresh this, we should be able to choose December 1, maybe. Come on. Number starts with. All right.
Still looking at, still showing build trackers. Do you have to refresh the whole phone?
Yeah.
Refresh the whole form.
There we go. December 1 release. Excellent. And now that it's in one of them, we can copy that and dump it in these. Let's see if that works. Over here on December 1, we give build tracker refresh. No. Oh, come on, man. Don't be like that. What did I do wrong? It's a pretty simple relationship here. Scrum release, build tracker, add query, parent, which is my release, is in the top field. Pretty sure the field is called top. Top. Pretty straightforward.
Scrum table, build tracker, 2 Scrum release, current, add query.
Why does it say this isn't on? Let's give this a full reload. Because I expect to see the related list there show that I added it to the form too. That's bothering me. So it should be here to show that it is on a form.
Ronstag says, shouldn't it be top_task?
Nope. I don't believe that's the name of my field. For a task table, that would be fine because that's the name of that field. But on build tracker, the field name is just top. So top is the field on current. Current is build tracker. This should be very straightforward. Why doesn't it like me?
When you're doing this, do you have to do when you're putting that in there, are you putting the object in the query, or is it not putting the sysid in there by default? Isn't parent a glide record?
It is. I mean, that's a
try get unique value or something.
Absolutely.
Let's try that.
That is using getters and setters is very important, kids. I don't know if that helps us, but it is definitely important to do. Oh, look at that. Now we just want to verify that we're doing it right for the Scrum task, and that I'll get all of the kids.
And that's so by the way, that is an extremely common kind of thing to do, is that that's another principle of least surprise, that when you think that like when you use it in that context, that it would kind of degrade to the sysid, but it does not. Probably what was actually happening under the hood was querying to like object, like the word object or something like that. Like whatever happens when you coerce that glide record to string, that's probably what it was like, what was happening in there.
All right, look at that. So now we've got the tracker family is all of the things for this release, which is great. The actual, thought I was on a story over here. Give me a story. Build the table. On the story, we now have all of our kids, and, all of our trackers and our kids trackers. We've got ours. That's looking pretty good. All right. I'm feeling like we fixed that one.
All right.
Check mark. Chun chun chun. All right. So the next, Ron actually asked for this enhancement just today, which was when we are creating new entries here. So we'll go back to the story table. We're on the story table here. And when we create new, I'm crafting this name via data that I have on the parent record. But if you do this 4 times, you get 4 things with the same name. And we would like some versioning on our update set names. So, throw in another dash and a number for any of the not top level ones. So if I recall, I am populating this via a display business rule. I'm pretty sure that's how I did that. At least one of the times I did this. So business rule. So the property for update set names. Let's take a look at that business rule, because that seems promising. Build tracker, display record. Hey, this is feeling right. And so what we're doing is we're actually querying for our property to get the format. And then we're crafting that from that information. So we're getting a list of the things that we want from this system property. In this case, it is properties. We'll see that it is something like number short description. And so we only have 2, but it could take many more things. I've seen some ridiculous update set naming conventions, in which this could take lots of different formats. So at the end,
Just before you go forward from that, I saw a communication from you about a naming convention that just hurt your heart earlier this week.
It so did hurt my heart.
The name of it contained
of the naming the string field limit on that, which was 80 characters.
There was so much information encoded in it. It was approaching absurd or beyond absurd.
I think it was 9 different fields essentially in the name. That just looks like noise to me at that point. So what we'd like to do, I guess, is in order to do this right, I guess we're going to have to query to see if there are any other kids. Ugh.
So before you go forward, let's we got a couple things in the chat. So while you're at kind of a while you're at a pause moment,
good pause.
Take a sip. And so Ron says, can you also throw in user ID in the name? Helps moving around instances to know whose belly button to press if there are preview errors. So the originating user, is that something that makes sense in there?
You absolutely could throw the originating user in there, and you just this will only take fields from the record that you're on. So whatever story. So I feel like you probably want to grab the assigned to's name.
Mm-hmm.
But what a lot of places are going to want to do most likely is do like the assigned to's initials or something. And I can't get to that in the current setup because I don't have your initials. We could maybe make them, but so if you wanted to plop their name in there, no problem. Just add comma assigned to and you're done. But if you want to do something that isn't on the current record, we'd have to do more enhancement there.
And then
could
grab
something from the session as well. So that's available to us. So either something that you can get to from session or something that you can get to from the task record. Either of those paths are things that you could use in this number format.
Okay. And then Janos has a suggestion of adding a default value to that GS get property up at the top. So that there's is it going to be required that they have what happens if they don't have that property set?
It'll just put an empty name with a dash. So that is that's certainly something that we could do. Wow, it's been a little while since I've done that. I recall doing that previously. I think you just put I think it's just another parameter.
I think the second parameter is like what you get. What you get if there's nothing there. Isn't that how I believe that's the tell you what, you can do
we'll go together. Everybody to the API. Let's go.
I'm pretty sure that that's my recollection is the second property is what you get.
Get property. Let's see. Alternative object. All right, there we go. So we did it right, but you should always check. Good call out though. So yes, if you're not sure a property is going to be there, and it's really important that you have something there, it's a good call out to go ahead and feed it a default.
Yeah, particularly like in your case where the thing is going to like name it blank dash something, that making sure like guaranteeing something's in there is actually a good call. So that's thank you, Janos.
Yeah, thank you for that. All right, so if we're going to do versioning numbers, we can what's the easiest thing that we have available to us to do that? I don't want to have to query the build trackers in this display rule. What I might do, so we've got two choices. We could we could put it here. And then it'll be there immediately when you're hitting new. So it'll be here populated when you hit new. Alternatively, what we could do is on insert, add a number if the name already exists. And that feels more like the time to be doing a query is a business rule on insert versus display.
What Ron says is he did a count of trackers child to trackers. I'm not sure I grok that, but he's saying,
yeah, he basically queried the table for the same task.
I would just say, what number child am I of this? How many other different things?
And I'm already doing queries for children in business rules on insert. So it feels like I should probably stuff it in that.
Are you trying to give it the version number of this particular thing or of all things?
This particular task. So I've already got a set parent business rule here. Let's go ahead and close at least one of these. And the set parent could also, when it's getting all these kids here and knows how many there are, could also adjust the name. I don't really like blending the things, but I also don't like querying multiple times when I'm definitely going to do this one anyway.
I'm trying to think if that's a candidate for factoring to a script include, but then you still would need that to live somewhere. Like if you were calculating all that stuff, you still have to stuff that value somewhere. Where would you stuff that value? That it would be accessible in this other context.
Yeah.
I don't know that there's an easy place for that.
I can do the query and stuff it into the display rule and render it right then.
Yeah.
I mean, that's certainly a possible thing to do. So we were just talking through the two choices. So the two choices are a business rule of its own, a business rule here where I already know how many siblings this thing has.
Yeah, but for future, you know me, when in doubt, optimize on clarity and developer understanding. And so whose rule is it that premature optimization is the root of all evil? It's one of the founding,
but I love that
founding computer scientists. I can't remember who it is. Maybe James Gosling or someone like that. But I would maybe just start doing it the way that you were starting to do it, which is I don't think I would jam it in the unrelated business rule or semi-related business rule.
Yeah.
Because it's confusing. And so if it became a runtime problem, then you might consider factoring it into something else. But until it's a problem, I wouldn't worry about it being a problem.
Yeah. That seems reasonable. Well, since I already have this script over here, we are going to steal it. Now that is also when it's time to throw it in a script include. But we have 5 minutes, so we're just gonna plop it in. What we are actually going to do though is be better and make this a glad aggregate.
Josh says it was Don Knuth.
I was thinking it was Knuth, but whoever's calling me, stop. All right, so we need to add aggregate, and we want to do a count on glide aggregate format Let's get an example in here. Just count. Okay, good. And then we just want to get aggregate count. Good job, everybody. Back to studio. And I believe count was capitalized. Count.
I think in real terms, I don't think it matters, but
I'm going off the example. See if I can not have too many errors here. So we want to just count the kids that aren't me. This one doesn't exist yet, so I probably don't even need this one. Yeah, that looks roughly correct. So let's get
I'm actually comparing. Ron is pasting some script in the chat. I'm frantically trying to compare the two. From monitors are about 3 feet apart. It's actually much harder than it seems like it would be. He's doing that pad left of the record. He's basically like padding it to the 2 digits.
So where do we want to set this? So we want to use this down there. So count. And then we're going to join. So we want to add this at the end. Oh, I feel dirty doing this right now. I can do this better.
That's okay. There's the pragmatic and the when you have a clock ticking, we've all written code we're not proud of.
Why is count out of scope there?
Count.
I want to initialize it to 0 anyway. Actually, I don't want it to be 0. I want it to be nothing. And if there's no count, I don't want to do that, but whatever. We're close. I just want to see it work. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. I have no faith.
We're having a crisis of confidence right here live on the stream.
0. 0 is not what I expected.
It should be 4, right? Or
it should be non-zero because there are siblings.
Okay. You want to go back to your code?
Let's see. New aggregate. So I mean, it got 0, which is interesting. So I'm querying on the table I'm on. It's good. For the task is the current task, which is fine because it's a bit. Oh, nope.
Isn't
it's
that supposed to be
current task?
Top.
It should be the tasks. So the code I copied was for a different table. So that's why. So I actually want to query task for a task.
But task is not defined right there, right?
Current dot. Sorry. Good call out and good coloring job system. And I don't do get unique value on a glide element. Let's get value task. All right, current get value task. This is a query. You don't actually have to do this. Task is actually fine in this scenario, but we're good. We're good stewards.
I always default to clarity.
Default to clarity. That's a good default. New.
There we go.
That is exactly what I expect, which is pretty freaking great. I'm
Okay.
happy about that. It has 3 siblings, and therefore that's the number I want, because the first one isn't going to get a number.
Okay.
So it's going to go nothing, 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
Just as good programmers count.
This is completely off the subject, but let's assume in like 1952, whenever they were inventing the first compilers, imagine if every array was like one based.
Oh my goodness.
So that the length and the count
would be the same.
Would be like the so element 1 is the first element in the array. There is no element 0. It starts at element 1.
Then you couldn't say that all programming problems are off by 1.
Just imagine how many fewer millions of bugs would have existed in the last 60 years.
All right. Guess what we get to do?
All right.
Check off another checkbox.
Fantastic.
We accomplished all the goals that we had for the show today.
Fantastic.
That's pretty great. Stopping share.
Alrighty. Let me transition back to our other thing right here. Pop us a little wider.
Any other interesting comments?
No, but welcome, Karthik. I think is new to ServiceNow, new to the live coding happy hour.
Awesome.
Magic.
Welcome.
So, welcome. Well, that's very cool. So where are you publishing this to share? Where is this going?
I'm going to let my former company hit on it for a week or two, and then I'm going to publish it to the share, and I might even just throw it on the blog spotlight for share. So
why not?
share.servicenow.com along with developer.servicenow.com, which is where our blog lives. And you can go visit that anytime. Right now, we're doing lots of small Madrid blogs. So you may have noticed that our blog size is the articles are a little bit smaller because we're doing overviews of new features in Madrid, and we're releasing them way more often. So the depth isn't quite as far as some of our other longer Wednesday technical posts, but we're doing 3 a week right now. So that's why.
We do have a question just came in from Ron. He says, what happens to links on reclone?
Yeah, so that's one of the reasons that I refactored this, Ron, was all of the since we're syncing these to all of the instances all of the time, clones don't matter.
So it will just on any change, everything's just going to repropagate.
Yeah, so everything will repropagate, but also the records are all already the same in all the instances all the time. So cloning doesn't really cause any negative or positive issues, because we're keeping e-bonding for this table across all the instances. So cloning's not an issue.
Except in the extremely weird thought experiment where like at the moment a clone is pushing down, a change is happening like microseconds apart, right? I would say that's a pretty small window, though.
It's certainly possible that you could do a clone and have older data. Yeah. So yeah, that's possible. So we might need to do a force sync at some point.
So like during the course of the clone, because I don't know like what the duration from the beginning to the end of the clone is, like, is there a point in time during the act of cloning that it is not, like during the act of cloning is not e-bonding, right? Until the clone is finished?
Yeah, we wouldn't be doing any e-bonding while the database is reloading.
Yeah, so you might be losing updates that are happening from the beginning to the end of your clone period.
Not just that, you'd actually lose them all the way up into the from whatever current time is to the backup time.
Okay.
That the clone is from.
Gotcha.
Which could be, up to 20 some odd hours.
Okay.
So it could conceivably be a little bit out of sync at that point. But one of the nice things is if you cloned over it, you know where everything is. You're not super. So we might have to do some force sync at some point. But anytime an update set moves, it'll sync all of the systems. So it's a self-correcting problem eventually, but we might want to throw in a full process,
like either just like a UI action that does all sync.
A UI action that just says, "Hey, I had a clone today. Go make sure everybody's happy."
Yeah, that's not a terrible idea, just in general.
Yeah,
if for no other reason than it makes people feel it's the warm washcloth on the forehead.
So one of the things that's a limited availability in Madrid, but that it is an announced feature, is a data sync feature, and it won't be available for everyone in Madrid. It will hopefully be available to everyone in New York, but the e-bonding that I'm doing, if it's between your own ServiceNow instances, ServiceNow is going to provide something for that, which will alleviate that problem entirely.
Cool.
So
all right,
let's cover our beers.
All right, man, my Wild Jalapeno, I gave it a 4.25 when I rated it Monday and Tuesday. That may be too low.
Nice. I'm going to have to come down there and get some. Like,
yeah,
they
may not have it. You may have to you have to go the very long way and go through Anderson on the way here.
Yeah, for a good beer, I shall travel.
This is one of those ones in general. Like, I'm not a fan of I'm not a fan of the the warm beer thing, but this is one of those beers. Like, I did not refrigerate my growler in between the original pour.
Yeah,
and it actually tastes different as it warms up. So it's actually spicier the more it has set out. So it's a kind of a interesting change.
Oh yeah, I can see that. So my line lager, yeah, it's not very good.
A swing and a miss, but you gotta take the cuts.
It's a 2.5.
Okay.
I will not visit again.
Okay. The odds of this particular, the place where I bought this, having this in 2 weeks is low, but non-zero. So we'll see. I'm trying to think if there's a way, like the growler. I don't have the pressurized growler. I don't know if I can hang on to it for 2 weeks, but we'll see.
So just to cover a couple of things before we wrap up, just a reminder: Knowledge 19, Vegas, May 7th through 9th. You can register now at knowledge.servicenow.com. You can come see Dave and I. We will definitely be speaking more than once at Knowledge. We will be hanging out in the CreatorCon area, doing lots of things there. We may even do a live stream from there again this year. That would be cool. We hadn't talked about that, but I'd like to do that again. We did that last year. It was a lot of fun. And meetups. If you don't have a developer meetup in your area, or if you just haven't been, go to meetup.com, take a look, do a search, ServiceNow on meetup.com, and see if there's a meetup near you. And go get out there and go talk to other developers, engage with them. You're already here, you're listening to us, go talk to some other developers. It's awesome.
I was in Raleigh last week, the meetup that you founded, and we will be to some more, I'm sure, in our kind of Madrid world tour. So keep watching the skies. We will right after a release is when we have a more than baseline likelihood of being at some. So
yeah, and if you're a meetup organizer and you'd like to, get us to come in, let us know.
All right. Thank you, Andrew.
Thanks, Dave. Thanks, everybody.
I think the world is looking forward to this update set tracker. So looking forward to that hitting share. So we'll be sure to talk it up when that happens. All right. Thanks, everybody. And we will see you next time.
See you next time.